Thank you. My Lords, I rise to speak to the questions standing in my name. While there's a bit of a flurry, I will just say I do congratulate those noble peers who are here today. I congratulate you on your fortitude and your stamina for being here. I've actually my partner and I have got to get to Dorset for our 20th anniversary party, and I just feel it wouldn't be the same without us. All our guests would probably miss us. So it's hard enough for me to be here, so I do congratulate you all on being here yourselves. I should also like to express my utmost gratitude to Silky Carlo and the NGO Big Brother Watch, who've supported myself and others in preparing for this important debate. I have asked questions about this before, and I have felt that the answers were not satisfactory. And so I have brought this question simply because I believe the use of automated facial recognition technology represents a turning point in our civil liberties and human rights here in the UK, and it's barely had any acknowledgement anywhere that this could be a problem, and so that's the purpose of today. Now, if used appropriately, I don't doubt there are many practical opportunities and ways to solve crimes, just as DNA research has done over the past few decades. But what we're faced with currently is an unregulated and frankly terrifying mess which uses data illegally and disproportionately interferes with our fundamental human rights. The current system, or more correctly, the lack of a current system, it means that there's no law, no oversight, no policy regulating the police's use of automatic facial recognition. The limited trials that we know about have shown that it can be very ineffective, completely ineffective, and potentially discriminatory. The truth is we're being watched all the time. People have had concerns about CCTV for some time, but now that CCTV is beginning to recognise and identify us. The purpose of my question and this debate today is to understand how much we're being watched and automatically identified. I want to know how that is being governed, if it's being governed at all, and what legislative frameworks need to be put in place to properly regulate facial recognition. In response to today's debate, I want to call on the government to do two things. First, to place an immediate ban on police forces using automated facial recognition with surveillance cameras. The reasons for this will become clear during my speech. Secondly, I call on the government to automatically remove the thousands of images of unconvicted individuals from the police's custody image database. I'll come back to this, but it's nearly 6 years since a court ruling said that the current system is illegal. So how we're still using it, I'm not sure. Automated facial recognition uses technology to identify people in real time against pictures stored in a database. South Wales Police has been leading on its deployment and its testing in the UK, funded by a £2 million grant from the Home Office. They've used it at a whole range of sports events, concerts, shopping centres. The Met Police have also used facial recognition technology at a number of events, including Remembrance Sunday and the Notting Hill Carnival. Very little information has been released to the public in terms of the accuracy and reliability of these tests. But the anecdotal evidence from police using it at Notting Hill Carnival was that they had 35 false positives with only one positive match. Something like 5 people were asked to prove their identity to police, having been flagged up on the computer, all of whom turned out to be innocent. Big Brother Watch themselves saw 2 women identified by the computer, the problem being that the computer had matched them with the police records of 2 men. It's not looking like a great start, and the government can't stand idly by while allowing this intrusion into individuals' rights and identities. There are big concerns about equality issues arising from this technology, particularly the risk of misidentifying people of colour who are already disproportionately affected by policing tactics. If these concerns turn out to be correct, then that's another legal challenge in the pipeline. If the public are ever going to trust the use of this technology, then the technology must be subject to the highest standards. We need the results of these tests to be made public and subject to rigorous scrutiny. As far as I can tell, there's absolutely no legal or regulatory framework that is governing the way police use automatic facial recognition. And I do hope the Minister can give me a straight answer on that. But at the moment it seems that the government is letting police forces get on with it as an operational matter. This is clearly not just an operational matter. We have rules about road signs, about speed cameras, and about gathering evidence. So why wouldn't we have rules about how they use something as potentially intrusive as facial recognition? There's a regulatory gap here that must be filled. I'm very concerned that this technology is being used with a database full of illegal images of innocent people, and I include myself in that number. It seems that the facial recognition technology is using the Police National Database, which contains tens of thousands of people who were never charged nor convicted of an offence. It's 6 years since the High Court ruled that the policy of retaining the mugshots of innocent people was unlawful. But the police still do it, and they still upload them onto the Police National Database. The government's solution in 2017 was to allow individuals to write to the police asking to be deleted. That just isn't good enough. My pictures will be on the database, along with hundreds of other people who've been arrested at peaceful, perfectly lawful protests and never charged with an offence. So will people whose charges were dropped, who were wrongly accused, or who were found not guilty by a jury of their peers. No one chooses to have their photograph taken by the police. It's extracted under coercion. The burden should be on the police to delete those images of everyone who has not been found guilty of an offence. So I ask the Minister that the Home Office will take immediate steps to automatically delete those images, the ones of every single innocent person, from the Police National Computer, and to prevent the database from being used for facial recognition until it no longer contains innocent people. I also ask the Minister to inform the House whether other sources of personal images, such as driving licence and passport databases, are available for use by the police and security services. Finally, I want to turn my attention to the security services. In doing so, I want to extend my respect and gratitude to the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden, a true hero of our times. Among Snowden's revelations was a GCHQ program called Optic Nerve. It's alleged that millions of innocent people were spied on through their webcams to experiment with facial recognition. Parliament has since passed laws which make bulk surveillance and interception lawful, so it seems, in fact, that we are moving towards more rather than less of this kind of mass surveillance. I would appreciate the Minister informing the House about the security services' use of facial recognition technology, and please don't hide behind the cloaking words of national security. I'm not asking for details, I'm asking for process. In conclusion, my Lords, there are very real concerns out there about the use of mass surveillance and facial recognition technology. We're moving into the kind of territory that even George Orwell couldn't have imagined. Whistleblowers like Edward Snowden are being persecuted, and we should really be offering them political asylum for their heroism in exposing these nefarious, illegal schemes. We must look hard at this issue now. There are already millions of pounds of tax money being spent on deploying these systems in South Wales, London and beyond. I don't want a situation where we come back to this in a few years' time and are told that the police have invested far too much money already for us to start making changes. It's easy to write this issue off by saying it's not a privacy issue because everyone has their face out in public anyway, but that's looking at the issue from the wrong end. The fact is our faces are now being used like fingerprints and DNA. But the difference is our faces are so obvious and public that it makes the intrusion into our private lives all the greater. My Lords, if police were taking our fingerprints and DNA at sports events, carnivals and remembrance parades, then I think that would cause a great deal of discomfort and concern. And we should be no less discomforted and concerned about their automatically scanning and identifying their faces. It did occur to me that perhaps we could use this technology ourselves here in this house. Perhaps we could have a facial recognition camera over the doors so that we would not have to be given a little tick by doorkeepers. Perhaps the Minister would like to consider that and see if members of the House like it themselves. Finally, before I finish speaking, I would like to reiterate my calls on the government to immediately ban the use of automatic facial recognition and to clean the police national computer of all images of innocent people.